Good morning, everybody. Lee Brower here, and welcome to this week's edition of Meaningful Monday. And I am glad to be here, and I am grateful to be here. And where am I today? Well, I'm in Chicago, and it is nippy. It's frosty. And yesterday, when I left Salt Lake City, we were in the high 20s, but it's nothing compared to Chicago. And Lori and I were sitting there watching the game of the Seattle Seahawks and the Minnesota Vikings, and watching them start their game in minus 6 degree weather. And oh my goodness, that is really nippy. But those of you that don't know, Lori is a dyed-in-the-wool and has been her entire life Seattle Seahawks fan. I mean, she is authentic. And we're going to talk about that word, authentic. I mean, she's so authentic. She's got her own helmet. She's got her own jersey. She actually suits up for games. I mean, she's in it. And so when she dropped me off at the airport yesterday, Seattle was losing 9-0, and oh, she was grumpy. So I was a little bit worried about her, but by the time I landed, Seattle had squeaked out a win, 10-9, and I've got a very happy wife at home. And so that's a good thing. That's a really good thing. And her authenticity inspires me. You know, we talked a couple of weeks ago about just what a difference 1 degree makes in energy and in direction, and how we had to have both of those to have a meaningful 2016. You remember we talked about if we had water at 211 degrees, it just sits there. But at 212 degrees, it creates steam, and steam will power a locomotive. If we have a spot at the equator and we want to circumnavigate the globe, but we're off just a degree or two, by the time we come back to that same longitude, we're going to be 500 miles away from it. 1 degree of difference. And so we constantly need to be checking our degrees. Do we have the right energy in the right area, in the right direction? Are we really creating that energy? Do we know where we're going? I mean, are we clear about where we're going? So that brings a third element into it, and that is the concept of authenticity. And authenticity, quite simply, is a characteristic of leadership that says that we walk our talk, that what we espouse as our values, as our principles, we can actually see them in the way that we live our lives. If those two match, then we are truly authentic. So there's 4 questions I would like you to ponder. I want to share with you. I look at each year. I look back at last year. I make a list of everything that I've accomplished, and I have my Empowered Wealth Journal, which I can't emphasize enough what a difference that's making for me. But I was able to go back and look, and I was so amazed at how much I experienced, how much I had learned in just 1 year. And so for that reason alone, but the ability to write allows you to re-aim. So when I sit down and write down about these experiences, one of the questions I ask, knowing what I know now, what would I do differently if I had this day to live again? That is adjusting by degrees. If I write down my vision for tomorrow, I am getting myself energized so I come out and have a 212-degree day. Here's my questions. One is, what does the world want? What is life calling for? What is life calling for? What is my life calling for? And that's a bold question, because once I put it out there in that context, that's making the assumption that I'm powerful enough to make a difference. So what is life calling for from me? Then what makes me boil? What makes me boil? What is it that gets me excited? What is that bigger vision that's bigger than me, that's bigger than I can see? It's built into how I live my life. Maybe it's my vision of my future great-grandchildren. Maybe it's the future of this world. Maybe it's the difference that you can make in people's lives. Whatever it is, that's what makes me boil. That's what gives me that energy that makes you go. Third thing is, what do I need? What do I need to be able to accomplish these things over this next year? Sit down and make a list. Ask yourself, what is it that I want to accomplish? What's holding me back? What vision do I have? And write down, what is it I need to achieve that? You'll be amazed at the answers that come to you. And then the fourth thing is, am I authentic? And I think writing in my journal makes me more authentic because it allows me to re-aim as I go. So those are the four things I'd like you to think about, those particular four questions. Again, what they are is, what is life calling for? What is it that makes me boil? What puts me at 212 degrees? What do I need to be at 212 degrees? And what makes me authentic? Am I authentic, and can I continue to be authentic? Have a wonderful week. Have an authentic week. I'll talk to you next week. I love the gifts that life brings. Let's knock them dead. We'll talk to you next week. Bye-bye.